What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fun and Boss Garage. Today's going to be a little bit different than our standard video because A, we're not going to be getting dirty, no wrenches in our hands. Today is just going to be a little informative. The whole point of today's goal is to answer everybody's number one question, and that is, how much was my LS1 swap? Before I answer that question, you should know that I did not do things as cheap as possible. I'm not scared to buy things brand new. I'm not scared to buy things that are a little more expensive, that are proven to work. I like reliability, and somebody who works a lot, my time is more valuable than my money. So, first things first though, if you're planning on doing this, I really recommend trying to buy a 4th gen F-body Camaro donor car. That'll be your biggest penny saver. If you can find like a crashed one and get everything from the same spot, it's really gonna make your swap a lot easier. So I've gone through every single receipt I have. There's just pages and pages and pages of receipts. And I've got it down to the exact dollar on how much my swap costs. I did break it down into a few different categories just to make it the most easiest. So first things first, I'm going to go over how much the swap costs doing the bare minimum, because I did go extra. I did do all new sensors, gaskets, everything, trying to make sure I got the most reliability out of my whole motor. So I've broke it down into fuel, all the gaskets and seals, what those cost, the LS1 itself, all my transmission work, everything. So I found a Craigslist deal for $1,100. Well, it was actually for $1,800, but I saw it was on Craigslist for quite a while, and the guy wasn't getting any interest, so I just waited and waited, and then at the end I just showed up with cash, offered him less than what he wanted. So for $1,100, I managed to get a LS1 long block, full accessories, the computer and wiring harness, the factory manifolds, catalytic converter, and Y-pipe for $1,100. I turned around and I sold the factory harness for $250, and then I recycled the cats for another $100. So realistically, I got my LS1, all the accessories, and the computer for like $800. Next is the wiring harness itself. I went with PSI conversions because they have a great reputation. I know a few people have used their harnesses before, and it's real easy. You plug in 2 wires, give it 12 volts, and you've got a clean harness, and they'll make it to your needs. So for the harness alone, I spent $602. So now I've got an engine, I've got a harness, and a computer. When you buy a computer out of a 4th gen F body, you do need to get it unlocked. So for tuning, I paid $450. That's for my VATs to be deleted, the rear O2s to be deleted, all the smog stuff to be deleted, and that's for a full dyno tune. So $450 for that. Then I needed to be able to mount my motor into my 3rd gen Camaro. So I went with UMI solid motor mounts, and then I went with their UMI their engine mount plate adapters. For anyone curious, part numbers are UPI 2323, that's for the solid motor mounts. Those were $160, and then their engine mount adapter plates were $119, and that's UPI 2406-R. And then we needed to handle cooling. For cooling, I ended up buying a 4th gen Camaro radiator and cooling fans and hoses. I spent $100 on Craigslist for the fans and the radiator, and then I spent another like $60 on hoses. Next is exhaust. I spent $350 on headers shipped to my house, and another $300 on a custom X-pipe. That's not on the car yet, but sooner or later I will get that video posted. And then I needed a intake setup for the car. I put together my own silicone intake. I spent $81 on the silicone couplers and the clamps, and then $43 on a filter. So then I thought that was going to be the gist of it. I thought that was going to be the most expensive part, but I did not realize how expensive plumbing all the fuel stuff was going to be. With my car being an 87 carb with a mechanical fuel pump on the motor, I decided to ditch my 3rd gen fuel tank, and I picked up a LS1 4th gen 2002 fuel tank for $100. Then I bought a fuel pump, an Aeromotive 340 Stealth for $99. For the fuel lines, I did all -6 AN lines. They're all steel braided. I used all brand new Russell AN fittings, and I used a Wix Corvette fuel filter that works as a regulator as well. And then my intake had stock fuel rails, so I just did all that together. So that was everything I needed to get it running and set up together. Now, just for fuel, the motor mounts, the computer, the harness, everything set up just to get it running. The bare minimum, I spent $354 for the full fuel setup. I spent $280 on the motor mounts, $1,100 on the LS1, the computer, $600 on the harness, $450 for tuning, $600 on the exhaust. It was like $650. I did $130 on the cooling, $124 on making my custom intake. For gauges, I bought a $20 little OBD2 plug-in wireless adapter thing off Amazon. It's called Elm123. It was $20, and then it lets you Bluetooth all your digital gauge information to your phone or your tablet, and that's $20, and I have full digital gauges now on a tablet, which is really nice. And then $45 on a fresh oil change and filter. So all of that bare minimum just to get the car started running was $3,703. That was with a Craigslist motor. Now keep in mind, I had no idea what the condition of this motor was, so I did buy all brand new gaskets and sensors for the motor. Now I had no clue how expensive LS1 stuff was. I've worked on plenty of small block Chevys and gaskets and everything, super cheap, so I was pretty blown away by how much everything costs. Now, just take a look. These are all the different sensors and gaskets I had purchased. I even have all the part numbers. Everything I use is GM Performance only. I know a lot of GM technicians, and they say stay away from Velcro, stay away from everything. OEM is the only way to go. So I'm just going to go through and list all of the sensors and gaskets I bought for the car. So I bought a balancer bolt, knock sensor grommets, knock sensor harness, valve cover gaskets, timing cover gaskets, front main seal, oil pan gaskets, oil filter bypass gasket, valley pan gasket, rear main cover, intake gaskets, throttle body gaskets. For sensors, I bought, and head gaskets. For sensors, I bought knock sensors, throttle position sensor, coolant temperature sensor, O2 sensor, air intake temperature sensor, oil pressure, crank position sensor. Then I bought a brand new oil pump for the car as well. That was a Melling High Flow, and then the new idle air control valve. So for all those sensors and gaskets and the oil pump, that was everything just to ensure that I wasn't going to have any issues with the motor and it would be running at best condition. Total for all that, it adds up to $916. So you take my original $3,703 just for everything to get running, and then you add that $916, and my swap is now at $4,619. Now, as you guys have been watching, The LS1 is not stock. I did decide to do head and cam, cam and heads on it, so that added quite a bit of money. I did manage to save a lot of money with my head and cam swap, so keep that in mind. For the 317 heads, all the machine work on it, oversized titanium valves, seals, brand new springs, and the cam, I spent $940. And then on Craigslist, I found an amazing deal of chromoly push rods, brand new LS7 lifters, LS2 timing chains, and ARP head studs for $250. And that is like, that's like $1,900 worth of parts right there. Probably $2,000 that I paid, $1,190. So if you add that into my swap, I am now at $5,809 into my swap. So if you are throwing an LS1 into another car, keep in mind it's going to be pretty similar, especially if you're using another Chevy base motor. If you're going with, if you're doing this in something else like a 240 or something, getting the stuff running, I think a lot of this will be pretty similar. You're going to see changes around like your headers and exhaust, your motor mounts. You might have to do a custom K-member. Keep in mind, I used a factory K-member on mine. Spending that $300 on those UMI mounts, those are proven. I knew I didn't have to notch the K-member, nothing. I knew the oil pan was going to fit. The only thing is I'm not running AC, otherwise I would have had to notch the K-member. So when you're throwing an LS1 in there, you do have to tackle the issue of your transmission. I didn't include that in here because I went from a 700 R4 to a Turbo 400. So I ended up spending a lot on that I don't think was relative to the swap. If you're doing this in a third gen like I did, you could have picked up a 4L60E or a T56, and that could change the price of your swap dramatically. The great thing about doing a 4th gen swap is you can still use your factory drive shaft with that. But with me doing a Turbo 400, I ended up getting a new drive shaft, custom cross member, custom torque arm. I spent like $700 on a custom torque converter. So I got a lot of money in my transmission swap, but I didn't think it was quite relevant for this video. If any of you guys have any questions, if you guys need part numbers, anything, just let me know. Word of advice that I wish somebody would have told me was get your parts together first and then start your swap. My car sat on jack stands for like a year and a half because I had no clue that I was about to start a $6,000 motor swap. I was under the impression that, I bought that motor for $1,100 and I was like, hey, I'm real close. I can start pulling out the old motor, everything. Granted, I went crazy and I painted my engine bay and, I welded some stuff up, and I like to, anytime anything comes out of my car, I like to make sure anything going in is painted, real pretty going back in. So get all your parts together first before you start your swap, because the swap can be done fairly quickly if you have everything together. Second is write out a plan. I have a full Turbo 400 setup. Like, my car turned into a drag car, and that wasn't the plan. Originally I wanted a T56, but I'm the kind of guy who sees something on Craigslist for a sweet deal and I'm like, boom, I need that. So that's how I bought a Turbo 400, and now I've got a drag car even though I wanted a autocross pro touring car. So keep that in mind, and then if you're not in a rush, take your time. Search Facebook classified groups, go to junkyards, monitor Craigslist like crazy. Facebook Marketplace, all of those, they can be great helps. And another thing that I love to do when I'm searching on Craigslist is search general things. Don't be too specific when you search, because I like to type in Chevy engine or Chevy motor, and you'll see people who have no clue what they have, and they'll have like a 6-liter LS something, they're selling for $600. So search more broad, and finding people who don't know what they have, those are where you're going to get the best deals. So if anybody has any questions, please let me know. I'm here to help everybody. I just want to thank everybody for watching. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to put out more content and keep everybody, up to par. I'm trying to help people out with knowledge. Any questions, so please follow, leave comments, give me that thumbs up, and we'll keep these videos coming. Stay tuned for the next episode.